Welcome to my madness, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I am late to the party. Today, we're going to be taking a look at this Excalibur 3-pack from Marvel Legends that came out like 2 years ago, I think, at this point. It came out sometime in 2021. This thing's been around for a while. However, you can still pick it up very easily at retail. It's always on Amazon. Like, it's not particularly sought after, and we'll kind of go through why that is, to be honest. Now, for me, it was something I've been wanting for a while. I really liked the Excalibur comics. I was a big fan of Excalibur back in the day. I like all the characters. I like the stories. I love the kind of mystical elements that they threw into almost like X-Men stories, but with mysticism. It was a cool comic. I like the characters. Shadowcat's a mainstay. Rachel Summers as Phoenix is a mainstay. Nightcrawler's a mainstay. I love Captain Britain. Megan was okay. But a lot of good characters, a lot of good stories. So for me, this was something that was pretty much a no-brainer. I don't know why I had never picked it up before, but I finally did about a month ago when Amazon had their Prime days, and they had a decent sale on it. But, and we'll go into price towards the end. But, you know, it's not a spectacular 3-pack, all right? Like, you're really only getting this if, like me, you want to put up an Excalibur display on your shelf. That's really the only reason to get this, because none of these figures are great. They're okay. And as you look at them here, as they would sit on a shelf, I mean, they're good representations of the characters, but as action figures, they're not great. Now, as far as accessories go, just to get that out of the way real quick, you can see here, both the females have open hands. Captain Britain has his sword hands. They all come with fisted hands as well. No need to show you guys that because they're just fisted hands. Captain Britain does come with an extra bearded head sculpt there. Shadowcat does come with a little Lockheed there, which looks cool. And then Captain Britain also comes with a sword. Now, this one looks like Excalibur. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be Excalibur. I'm gonna assume it is. But in the comics, he had the Sword of Might much longer than he ever had Excalibur. So I feel like that's the sword that he should have had. But I'm pretty sure this one is supposed to be Excalibur. And you can see it's just gray paint. This one could really use a wash on it, to be honest with you, because it does have some nice detail there in the sculpt on the blade. But they of course don't do that because Hasbro doesn't do washes. But I might do that. So anyway, that's the accessories that you get. We'll go through the figures here one by one really quickly. We'll start with Shadowcat because she's a great character. And I do like that they went with this smaller buck for her because she should be the smallest character. And I think that was appropriate. And as far as the outfit itself goes, like, there's nothing wrong with it. It looks good. You got the puffy sleeves and the sash and the collar, and it's good coloring. And the head sculpt looks great. Nice, young head sculpt there. Makes her, you know, look like you would expect the character to look. Good hair sculpt. But this is just the same old tired body that they used over and over and over again. We got single jointed elbows, no bicep swivels. There's nothing that stands out about this figure. I mean, like, honestly, there's just not. It's okay at best. Like, it's okay. This is not a figure. If this was a single pack figure, you would not run out and buy this. This would be a peg warmer. And I can honestly say the same thing about Megan here. You know, it's a much better sculpt. I will say that. They actually gave this one, you know, some hips and some thighs and stuff like that. She's a little more womanly looking, which is nice. And I do like the bare feet, which is fitting for the character. I think the paint job is good. The head sculpt and the hair sculpt look amazing. I mean, they're really, really well done. Could use, again, a little bit of a wash, but looks really, really good. But again, single jointed elbows, no bicep swivels, stuff like that. So this one's definitely a step up from that one, but still not great. Again, that would probably be a peg warmer if it was a single card release, honestly. Then we get to Captain Britain. Nothing spectacular about him at all as far as the sculpt. We've seen this sculpt 100 times short of the knee pads there, which do look cool. Head sculpt does look good. And look, this is undeniably Captain Britain, and it's his classic costume. And I think for him, having the nice, clean, simple sculpt that we've seen 100 times actually does work. He's by far the best one in the group, just because he does have all the articulation you would want. You've got they took the time to add the cuffs on the gloves and the knee pads here, and he's very accurate to the comics. I mean, he had a very simple look in the comics, and this accurately represents him, even if this is an old, antiquated buck now at this point. But So I'd say overall, this one was the most effectively done because it has everything you need and it sticks to the character. So, I mean, they're all decent, but none of them are great, right? Like, nothing pops off about them, but certainly good representations of the characters themselves, and I like them. I'm glad I have them on the shelf, but again, you wouldn't buy these 3 single-packed, right? Like, maybe Captain Britain would probably sell if they single-packed him, but certainly not Megan and Shadowcat. Like they just wouldn't. These would be peg warmers, and so I understand why they put them in a 3-pack, because honestly, nobody would pay 20 to 25 bucks for those 2 figures. They just wouldn't, period, end of story. So, they're decent figures, they look okay, they're great representations of the characters, but certainly not anything to lose your minds about. There's nothing special about these figures. So let's go ahead, throw up some other figures, do some comparisons real quick, and we'll go from there. All right, so we got some figures here that I think makes for some good comparisons. First off, let's look at a good female buck for Marvel Legends. That, of course, is this one right here, Spider-Woman. I think this is a good buck. It's got all the articulation. She actually has curves, which is what you want in a female character, which, again, Megan does have. Shadowcat over here does not, but just with the articulation alone, obviously this is a far better figure, and you can see the difference here in height. And she's about the same height as Megan, give or take, maybe a little bit taller, but I think that's a good figure right there. I know they weren't making this buck when this 3-pack was released, but still, would have been nice to have that. Then, of course, we've got my own little version of Rachel Summers here. Just a kit bash until I have a better version, either that I've customized or Hasbro releases an actual legitimate Phoenix, you know, Rachel Summers Phoenix. I've got this kind of sitting on my shelf. Then we get to the Captain Britain comparisons here. Now, this is where you start to realize Captain Britain is maybe a little too big, because him and Steve Rogers should be roughly the same height. Now, Brian Braddock, Captain Britain, was usually drawn to be beefier than Captain America, but they were about the same height. And you can see Captain Britain towers over this version of Captain America. And this is a fairly big Captain America figure compared to some of the other ones we've gotten in the past. And this Captain Britain is just huge compared to him. And then, of course, we have, I believe, the last Captain Britain figure we got, which I actually really like this figure. I think it's a good modern representation of the character. And he's even bigger than him. Granted, they're 2 different bucks, I get that, but this Captain Britain figure is insanely huge for the character he's supposed to be. He's just really big and beefy. Probably more so than he should be. I actually like this buck a lot better for Captain Britain than this one here. Although this one is a little more proportional. This one just, I don't know. I like it better. He's a little more height appropriate, and because he's shorter but still very wide, they're about just as wide, it makes him look beefier, especially if you're going to do that comparison to like Captain America. This is much more appropriate, where they're closer to the same height, but Captain Britain is just a beefier dude. And so, I don't know, I kind of like this one a little bit better as far as the sculpt, and I do like the costume design, but I also like having the classic costume design as well. Look, it's a decent 3-pack, and certainly it's going to fit in well on the shelf. Is it the best? Again, no, I'm repeating myself, but it is important to say that. All right, so let's talk about price here real quick. And this thing retails for 67 bucks. Question being, is it worth it at $67? Well, I mean, you're paying roughly, 22 bucks a piece, give or take, for them. Is it worth it? Not really. Honestly, it's not. I can argue the Captain Britain is, just because it's a nice classic look for him, even though it's not, remarkable figure. The other 2, honestly, aren't even worth 20 bucks a piece. To be honest with you, they're not good figures. That being said, I picked it up on Prime Days. I think it was 50 bucks. At that price, yeah, then I can say it's worth it. So if you can find a good deal on it, and Amazon puts this thing on sale all the time, I mean, sure, if you're a fan of Excalibur like I am, you want to put a little Excalibur display together, yes, it's worth it. Pick it up if you can find it on sale. I would not pay full retail for this thing, just because the value isn't there. Even if you really like the characters, the value is not there. And that's tough to say when you like a team like I do and you want to put it together, but Again, there's a reason why I waited as long as I did to pick this 3-pack up. It's because I just never thought it was worth it, and it's not. But again, at 50, maybe 55 bucks, something like that, I'd be like, okay, sure. You know, you're roughly, you know, like 18 bucks a figure, give or take, not a big deal. You know, sure. Why not at that point? Pick it up, add to your collection, awesome. But outside of that, I'd probably steer away from it. So that's it, guys. Would love to hear what you think. If you have this, let me know what you think. If you're looking to pick it up, leave it down in the comment section down below. And that is pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching, and always remember to enjoy your collection.